Oh, I think we are live now. Yes, we are. I just gotta like to wait for the little thing to pop up over there. Well, good evening. This is Andre down here in Jacksonville, Florida, above Becoming the Yachts, and we got another special treat for you this evening as far as having a special guest who is a former police officer who went from one of several tragedies when he was in the academy or department, however you call it, to now an online success. But without any further ado, let's go and introduce the rest of the panel. So we're going to take it out to New Mexico real quick.
All right, I guess that's my cue here. Hey everybody, if you have not been on before, welcome. We do this every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So depending on where you are, it could be different for you. But we're here at this time every Friday. My name is Aaron Martinez. I live here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, home of the International Balloon Fiesta and many other things. But yeah, just a pleasure to be here, and I'm super, super excited to get this hangout underway here because we have an exciting guest that we're going to reveal here shortly. So I'm going to pass it over to the UK. So whichever one of you guys want to introduce yourselves, go for it.
Yeah, it's Ian from the it's Ian here from the UK, and I just got back in from rolling some grass out here on the farm, and we actually got some contractors to hire to do this grass because we sowed some grass, sowing the seeds we were talking about here last autumn or something, and then it flooded it all it rained like all winter, so then we had to re-sow it, and we got these contractors to hire to sow this grass, and it ended up coming up like in stripes instead of coming up in like a nice even coverage. It came up in stripes, and it just reminded me to pay attention when you're doing something and doing something right first time, but really paying attention to what you're doing, because we just had to re-show it again and overcome that failure of messing it up first time. So hopefully this grass will come up well now, but that's just a brief introduction from here. So yeah, Neil.
Thanks, Ian. Hey guys, Neil Henson here also from the UK. So it's 11 p.m. my time, but this is my favourite place to be every Friday evening. And like I say, we've got a full house tonight. We've got a special guest who's going to hopefully give us a great story about YouTube. You know, it's one of those platforms that it's the second biggest search engine in the world, and for me, underutilized. There's so many people out there that are using it. You know, it's incredible how big it's getting, but not many people actually do anything with it. And we're gonna learn some great tips on how to take your business to the next level with YouTube. And you just gotta pay attention, guys, because you're gonna learn some great information here. So with that, I will send it across to you, Patricia.
Correction, Neil. Pat may have some wonderful tips about YouTube, but I don't think it's about that today. What we're going to do is hear his fabulous story about him being a police officer and how that affected his decision to find and discover online marketing. But Pat is he's one of a kind. Put it that way. We're all unique individuals in this world, but because of his unique position of what he has done in the past in his career, that forged his personality, which you guys will soon find out. He has a stunning personality, a stellar personality. And it definitely attracts people to the business, but also of what he has done. I met him at several events. I met him, I believe it was in Vegas when we were there, and then I met him just recently in Nashville at one of our events that we were in, and I've seen him on stage, and he just outperforms and outshines his personality. No, he does. No. So anyway, Pat, I would like for you to come out and introduce yourself, and then I'll ask you some questions, but then we'll just go I'll ask you one question, and then I'll just let you go for it. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely, and I really, really appreciate you having me on tonight, Patricia. We've connected at a lot of events in the past, and you forgot to mention how I bombed your video in Nashville. You know, you were doing this really cool video, and me being the, I forgot how you put it, but let's put it like it really is. Me being the smartass that I am, I bombed her video, guys. I mean, I just, boom, I was right in the middle of her video, right in the middle of it. So, and she just went right on. She didn't hesitate a bit. But
well, you know what, Pat? The reason why I just went right on and I kind of ignored it. No, just kidding.
That's correct. You ignored
well, actually, Pat, you're my namesake, so you know what can I say?
Oh, absolutely.
I've been confused with another Pat too. That was a male. So
for all of those out there as guests that's wondering why I don't have my name tag underneath me. Well, I memorized my name about 2-3 years ago, so I don't need my little name tag. So Patricia and the rest of them, they really wanted their name tag, and I told them they didn't have to use it, but you know they don't listen to me. But I did have something to say before we get started. Mr. New Mexico, can you come in here a minute, because you're scaring the hell out of me. Here, Bert.
Yeah.
I've watched the movie Scream. Have you ever seen that movie Scream? It's kind of like Friday the 13th. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what happens when somebody's sitting at their computer and the closet behind them is like cracked by that much? Something's going to jump out of there. If you get, I mean, come on. You watch movies. That's what's going to happen. And I keep waiting for that thing to open.
You know, I checked it right before this. I think there's something blocking the door.
Okay, excellent. Okay, good deal. So nobody's in there, right?
Nobody's in there, no.
We just didn't want to get a major surprise, you know. Patricia can't handle it, you know. She would just be like freaking. So, okay.
You know what? It's so interesting because sometimes when I introduce this is that I am the only girl on this panel. So it's 4 guys and a girl, but it's now 5 guys and a girl with Pat Patterson. So Pat, we want to hear your story. Our story is that we all met together at events and decided to do this hangout together, and that's how I ended up with all these guys. But what is your story, and how did you become an online internet marketer?
Okay, I didn't hear a word you said there. I heard you say story.
What is it? How did you become an online internet marketer?
Well, that was not my plan. I mean, I never thought about ever marketing online. I'd never even dreamed of that. You know, as you stated, I was a police officer, and I was a proud police officer for 17 years out of the state of Georgia. I love law enforcement. It's the only thing I ever wanted to do in my life since I was a little kid. My dad was a deputy sheriff. My grandfather was a deputy sheriff. My grandfather was a sheriff, and my other 2 uncles were deputy sheriffs. So I grew up in that law enforcement household. So I knew I was always going to be in law enforcement. But they had the height and weight requirement, you know, and it, you know, as most of you can tell, you know, I'm not that, you know, I may get up to about $120 if I'm soaking wet. And as I said on stage, you know, you put my Batman belt on and my bulletproof vest, and I'll get up to about 125. So I weighed a lot. But back before 1995, they had the height and weight requirement, but they lifted it in January of, no, it wasn't January, it was October of 1994. They lifted that height and weight requirement and ruled it discrimination. So, because there was a lot of females that couldn't get in law enforcement because of that height and weight requirement. So I jumped right in. That was in 1995. So, again, I was a proud police officer, and I never dreamed of doing anything else. And now, Patricia, do you want... I can't just tell bits and pieces of a story.
No, we need to just go with the flow.
Okay, so you want me to tell the whole story because I have the president of my fan club. Her name is Miss Candy Davis, and I'm being a smartass about the president. She hates when I go into a lot of detail, so I just want to make sure that's okay because I can't just tell a little bit of the story.
Well, we have an audience that wants to hear the whole thing.
Okay, absolutely. Well, this is what happened. I was a traffic unit, and so my job, I didn't answer regular calls. I did vehicle stops, I did DUIs and traffic accidents, you know, stuff like that. And I was certified 3rd level traffic accident investigation. So, in other words, if there's a fatality in an accident, I was certified to work that accident. But I'd stopped a car probably about a week and a half before I got injured. And I stopped this vehicle, and he was ready to roll over on his mama. He was telling us, when other drugs are going to come through, because I got 4 kilos of cocaine in the trunk of his vehicle, inside the tire. So he told us about another vehicle that was going to be coming through, and it was a little Chevette with a Space Saver tire on the front left that was going to have several kilos of cocaine and $150,000 inside that spare tire, because they're going to do a trade-out. When they get to Illinois, they're going to Chicago. When they get up there, they're going to do a trade-out for the money for other drugs and then use the drugs for other drugs. So it's a long, drawn-out thing. But we knew like a 3-hour time frame when this vehicle was going to come through. So here we are on the night it's supposed to come through. I'm set up out at the interstate, and I have GSP, which is Georgia State Police, which is the state trooper for Georgia, and I had a deputy sheriff with me. So we're all hidden back off the interstate, hidden behind signs and bushes, waiting for this Chevette to come by. Well, in the meantime, we get a 1010 in progress at the Pizza Hut. Now, guys, tonight you're going to get a 10 code lesson, because I talk in 10 codes. So, but I'll tell you what everything means when I say 10 codes. But it was a 1010 in progress, which means a fight in progress inside the Pizza Hut. So all available 10-8 units, and 10-8 means in service, they go 1076, which means en route, to the Pizza Hut. I'm the only available 10-8 unit for the city, but I'm 10-6, which means busy and less urgent, out at the interstate waiting for this Chevette to come through. So dispatch calls me, Station 35, I need you 10-8 in the city. There we go. So now I'm irritated. Okay, I got to leave where I am. I figured I'm just going to go right up by the city limit sign and just sit there. So when one unit comes 10-8, I can go rushing back to the interstate and get this little Chevette. So I get almost to the city limit sign. My dispatch says, Station 35, we got a 911 hang-up call, possible 1016. 1016 is a domestic call. So now I'm like, oh God, I don't handle calls, okay? I've been spoiled. I haven't handled a call. I do backup. If a unit is out on a call, I'll back him up. So I don't do regular calls. So now I've got to take this call, this 911 hang-up call, possible 1016. And a 1016, again, is a possible domestic call. So I pull up to this old single-wide beat-up trailer. And just this nasty-looking trailer. It had the little slope over this way with rocks and grass mixed in it. You guys know what I'm talking about. So I get out of the unit, and, we're trained. I'm listening as I'm walking towards the trailer door, and I hear a dog inside. Sound like a big dog. I heard the dog barking. I don't hear any screaming or anything, but as I'm walking by, I look down on the grass, and there's this like 9-iron. It's a golf club that's sitting in the grass against the siding of the trailer. They put that siding around the bottom so you can't see the tires of the trailer. And it's laying against there. I'm just scoping that out like, okay, there's a possible weapon if we come outside. I'm just you don't even think about doing it after a while. It's just something you do. I just remember seeing that golf club. So I get to the front door, and you got to remember now, I'm irritated, I'm aggravated, I don't want to be there. I want to go over there. My mind is, I'm going to go over there and tell them, look, you sit over here, you sit over there, you behave, or I'm going to put you in timeout. If I come back, you both are going to jail. That's what I was going to tell them. So I've had thousands of 911 hang-up calls, and they're never nothing. Usually it's a 3-year-old playing on the phone. That's usually what it is. So the way we're trained to knock on a door is you stand to the side, which is the safest side, meaning if there's a window on my left side where they could see my back, I'm not going to stand on that side. It's unsafe. They could shoot me through the window. So you pick a side that's the safest side for you to knock on the door, and you reach over and you tap on the door with your mag light. Because I always carried this big, huge mag light. Because in the event of a fight, I'm so little, I've already got a weapon in my hand. So whether I need it or not, even during the day, I'd carry my mag light. So, because I'd go on duty at 6 p.m., and sometimes it wouldn't get dark during the summer until, a quarter till 9, maybe 9:10. So I tap on the door, but the way I knock on the door, because I'm being an idiot, and what happened to me is my fault. Let me say that. Most of the time when an officer gets injured, they did something wrong outside their training, and this is what Pat did wrong. I stood right in the front of that door, and I just hit it with my mag light like this, not to the right, not to the left, right in front of the door. We were trained first couple weeks of police academy. You don't ever do that. That's your safety. But I'm not thinking about safety. I'm thinking about getting back to the interstate to get that white Chevette, because here's the thing. With that bus out at the interstate, we get to seize that vehicle. We get to seize those drugs. We get to see, and we can use those drugs in different stings. That if say the Oconee Drug Task Force, which was out of Macon, if they want to use those drugs to sell, to bust other dealers, they can use those drugs. So we get to seize them. We get to seize that $150,000. That $150,000 is going to go for equipment for our department. So it's in our best, it's in the department's benefit to get that money from those drugs. So that's all I want to do is get back out to the interstate. Now, let me say this, Patricia, on my screen, you're showing up on my screen. Should I show up or should you show up?
No, you're showing up. Perfect.
Am I showing up on your screen?
Yes.
Am I in the big screen?
Yes.
So everybody can see me smile?
Yes.
Okay, good. So anyway, I knock on the door, and this door, now I'm leaving some stuff out. I'm leaving details out that are very important. When you walk up this step, there's 3 steps. They're wooden steps, and the second step I do remember was kind of wobbly. You got to really watch when you touch that step because it kind of folds under you a little bit. But you step up the 3 steps, and then you're on this little tiny, and to call it a balcony is like calling an elementary student a college graduate. It's not a balcony. It was like not even a deck. It's just this little square place that you can stand, not even big enough to put a barbecue grill on. It's really not. It's just so tiny. So from the door to the back of the deck, I could take maybe 1 step back, and my back is against the rail behind me. And then beyond that is the ground, which is because of this, the way the land sloped, the way this lot that this trailer was sitting on, it sloped down. So it wasn't flat. It wasn't just a jump down there. You jump and kind of go down a little embankment. So when this door exploded open, and when I say exploded, I had to literally jump back to keep the metal door, because this thing, if the door comes out, not in, it opens outwards. So as this door swung by my face, I had to jump back to keep the door from slapping me in the face. So, but when I jump back, I'm turning to the right to make sure I don't fall over the balcony. So I'm stepping back and looking. I mean, we're just talking about a split second. So as I come back up, here is this 260-pound. Now, when I say 260 pounds, I didn't have a scale with me. I don't know exactly how much he weighed, but I'm going to say about 260 pounds. He was freaking big. He made like 3 of me. So he hit me so hard with his body and his arms around me like a bear hug. We both went over that balcony. I landed with my feet in the air, and my neck and spine hit the ground. And he was on top of me. It wasn't just a free fall on my own weight. I had this 240, 260-pound man on top of me. And I just remember everything here happened in slow motion. From this point on, everything that I'm telling you was literally in slow motion. And because everything was in very slow motion, I can remember all the little details. So when I hit the ground, I heard that crack, that pop of my neck. I had no idea where I was. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand what this guy's doing on top of me. And this went on for about 20 seconds that I did not know. And the best way to understand it is you've woken up in the middle of the night. You're in your bedroom. You're in your bed. You just look up at the ceiling when you wake up, and you just have no clue at that moment where you are. We've all done it. You're coming out of a dream or whatever the case is. You have no clue where you are. That's where I was. No clue what this guy was doing on top of me. He immediately mounts me. Now, the way I landed was not on my back. I landed on my neck and spine. But as my legs come down, it went to the right of me, which threw me this way. So now I'm on my side, meaning my gun and my holster is between my hip and the dirt. The hard dirt with rocks and grass and all mixed in. So I can't get to my weapon. Well, at this point, I'm not even thinking about my weapon. I'm trying to figure out where I am, what's going on. You take a fall like that, it just knocks any sense out of you. You have no clue what's happening to you. But this guy immediately mounts me like they say in UFC. He was sitting on top of me and just pounding me. He was sitting on my side. So his left knee is at my stomach and his right knee is at my back. And he's just pounding the back of my head here, pounding my face here, just coming down blow after blow after blow. All I'm doing is, now I'm realizing, okay, I don't know where I am. I don't know what this guy's doing. But I know he's trying to hurt me. So, I knew I had a gun. I knew I was a police officer. I knew my name was Pat. I knew all that. It took me a while to figure out what was going on. So I go to get my gun, and I can't get it. I can't reach the butt of the gun. I can't pull it out of the holster because it's between me and the dirt, and his weight is on top of me. So it's pushing it further against the dirt. And he's just pounding my face. I mean, he busted my teeth out at the bottom here. I mean, I had bumps, bruises, cuts all over my face, my forehead. He cut me here. He cut me over here. Not here, but in the back of my mouth here. I mean, right there, I've got a scar on the top of my mouth where a tooth cut into the side of my mouth. I mean, I can still feel the scar. But it was just, he was trying to kill me. And at one point, something that I don't say on stage, he leaned over, and he had this awful alcohol breath. And he put his face right against my nose. And he said, "Die, you MF, die." Of course, he didn't say MF. He used the full word. And he was just, "You die, you die." So now I know what's going on. I know I got to kill this guy. I got to get this guy off of me. So there's another gentleman in the trailer because I heard him over there. I heard noises coming from that trailer. I don't know where he is. I don't know what he's doing. But just at that time, the way I'm laying, the stairs that I walked up is kind of like right over here to my right. I can't touch it. It's too far away, but it's right here. And I can look up, and if somebody's standing at the door, now I can see them from about the top of the head from here up. I can't see the whole body because the deck is in the way or the balcony's in my way. And I heard this guy say, "Sick him." And this huge, when I say huge, to me it was like a dinosaur coming at me. It's this huge pit bull. He ran down the stairs, made that turn, come straight to my face. Now, I knew what he was going to do. He was going to go for my neck and throat. That's what pit bulls do. So all I could think to do, and all I was doing when the guy's beating me, is trying to protect my face with my left arm. So here comes the dog, and I put my left arm up in front of my face. And instead of grabbing my face or my throat, he grabbed a hold of my arm. And he grabbed me right here, and I've got scars all through here on my arm where this dog's trying to rip my arm off. So now I'm thinking, okay, it's over. I'm done. I got a perpetrator here in front of me. I got a dog on me. There's another suspect somewhere over here. I don't know where he is. And now I start thinking about that 9-iron that I saw. So now I've got it pictured. He's going to go pick up that 9-iron, and he's going to be over behind my head and beat me in the head with that 9-iron. So, I mean, that's what's going through my mind. I just flash back to that golf club. So now, and at this point, right before that, I didn't feel like I was fighting for my life. Not until the dog got involved. Once that dog latched onto my arm, and anyone that's ever had any contact with a pit bull, they do not let go. They latch on and they stay kind of like a Rottweiler. They're just vicious dogs if they're trained that way. Let me say this: pit bulls are very loving dogs. It just depends on their owner, and these owners shouldn't have owned a dog. So here I am fighting for my life now. When that dog hit my arm, the suspect kind of raised off of me and kind of stood up on his knees. You know what I mean? I mean, he wasn't sitting on me, but he was still mounted me, but he moved me just enough where I could clear my weapon. I felt the butt of that gun. So I unsnapped it, and I had a level 3 holster. Now what that means is, with a level 3, that means a suspect on your side can't take my gun, because you have to be on my side. You have to push down, slide forward, slide it out. That's the only way you're going to get the gun. You can pull and yank all you want to. The gun's not coming out of the holster unless you do that combination. Push down, slide forward, slide out. And I knew that, so I went to push down on the holster. And oh my God, Patricia, the pain that shot through my ribs and across my chest was just, I screamed out like a little girl. Literally, I screamed out in pain. I didn't know that I had 2 broken ribs, because one part I left out is before all that, before he mounted me, he was just Yeah, before he mounted me, he kicked me about 6 times in the side. Then he mounted me. And when he kicked me in the side, he's kicking me actually in my back and kind of on the side of the ribs. He's not going to the ground with his kick. He's going to my ribs. But it's the back of my ribs. It's back here. So that's where I'm just assuming that's where the broken ribs came from. But once I felt the gun, the suspect came off of me. He stood up. The dog's trying to rip my arm off. I'm thinking, okay, I can get to my gun. That's when I pushed down. I screamed out in pain. And the guy starts stomping me. Now, when I say stomping, I'm not talking about he's not kicking me anymore. He's raising his feet up and coming straight down on my ribs. I mean, just literally stomping me in the stomach and the ribs, wherever he can make contact. So I'm thinking, I've got to get this dog. My number one priority at this point, my threat level, was the dog. Get rid of the dog, then I can deal with him. So I'm ignoring him. And here's the funny part. I didn't feel any pain except when I went to get my gun out of the holster. That's the only time I felt pain. I didn't feel when he was pounding me in the face. I didn't feel my teeth break on the bottom. I didn't feel him stomping me. I felt the pressure of it all, but there was no pain involved. So when I said, I've got to get this gun, so I bit down hard. Now, when I say bit down hard, I didn't realize I was missing teeth. So I just bit down on the back of my teeth and pushed down, screamed out in pain, moved the gun forward and slid it out. Now I've got my weapon. Now the dog is here, and I'm pulling him back like this, and he's right there on my arm, and I take my gun and I put it on top of the dog's head, just like this. The barrel of the gun is against the dog's head. At this point, and still everything's in slow motion to me, here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to shoot that. I've got a Glock 23. It's 40 caliber, hollow points. I'm going to shoot this dog in the head, and that bullet is going to go through his skull and into my arm. I'm fixing to shoot myself in the arm. That's what's fixing to happen. I analyzed that for about a split second and thought, I'd rather shoot myself in the arm than the dog take it off. So I pulled the trigger. The dog drops on my chest. And I remember looking down and I seen all the blood. Now, I didn't realize it was my blood that I was seeing all over my badge and uniform, my name tag, all that. Back then, I wore a name tag. I hadn't memorized my name back then. But all this blood was on my uniform. and I thought it was from the dog. Now, when that gun went off, the suspect come up. Now, you got to realize, I just came over on my side, back on my back. Now I'm laying back, and the suspect is down here by my knees, but just a couple steps back away from me because the way he stepped back. And guys, I keep looking down because I can see Patricia on my screen. I need to look at the little blue light here. So he took a couple steps back, and as he's doing it, I'm coming up with my gun. Now, I've never wanted to kill anybody, but I want to kill this guy. The threat from the dog is gone. My only thought was, I'm going to kill this guy. He's a threat. I'm going to eliminate this threat because there's still another guy over here, and I don't know where he is. I can't look behind me to see if he's fixing to stand over me with that golf club. I have no idea where the second suspect is. So as I come up, I mean, here's the funny part of what goes through your mind when you're fighting for your life. There's some crazy stuff that goes through there in split seconds. Just all this stuff in detail that you think about. So I'm fixing to pull the trigger. I've got him. I mean, I've just come up, and I know I've got him in my sight. I'm going to put one right between his eyes. But then I remembered, I made an 87 at the firing range when I qualified. I don't think that's good enough for a headshot, but this guy's pretty wide in the chest. I think I can hit him. At 87%, I think I can get him. So I come down just a little bit to hit him in center mass. And I'd already pictured 3 slugs hitting him in center mass and him dropping. I'd already seen it. Now, I'm dizzy. I'm still incoherent about what's really going on. I still don't remember why I was there. I don't know why I'm where I am. I'm scared. I'm pissed. I'm all these emotions are going through my mind. So I squeeze back on the trigger, and Officer Mahoney, and I shouldn't name him by name, because I said his name on stage, and one guy afterwards said, Officer Mahoney from Police Academy. And I'm like, no, he wasn't in my academy. He was talking about the movie. Apparently there's some movie about Police Academy with this guy. I don't remember that, but his name was Officer Mahoney, and he'd been with us for about 3 weeks, fresh out of the academy. When you pull up to a scene, ladies and gentlemen, and you see a dog, and the officer cannot assess this scene and know for a fact that dog is dead. He just sees a dog on top of me, sees a guy over me, blood all over the officer. You don't play football. You draw your weapon and you start screaming commands at this guy. That's what I'd have done. No, that's not what I'd have done. I'd have whispered commands at this guy. I'd have said, stop, freeze. And when he didn't stop and freeze, I'd have shot him. That way in court I could say, yes, I announced myself, I gave him commands, failure to comply, I had to shoot him for my own personal safety and the safety of the officer that was bleeding and fighting for his life on the ground. And I know that sounds awful, and it's hard to say what you're going to do until you're in that officer's situation, but I'm pretty sure with 17 years experience, I think that's what I'd have done. We have to protect the citizens, and we have to protect the kids, but we also got to protect each other. And for him to jump out of his unit, and only a rookie would do something like that, and he comes running across the yard, not knowing if this guy has a weapon. Does he have a knife? Does he have a gun behind his back? What? The officer didn't know. He didn't draw his weapon at all. He played football. He ran across the yard, and just as I was fixing to put 3 slugs in this guy, Officer Mahoney tackled him to the ground. And I remember that's the first time during this whole, as soon as I went over the balcony, this is the very first time that everything stopped in slow motion. When I saw Officer Mahoney, it's like somebody hit the fast forward button because he just went right by my face. And that's the last thing I remember. I passed out because I'd lost so much blood. Now, I woke up in the hospital the next day and found out that I had lost a tremendous amount of blood, that my injuries were, I had 2 broken ribs, I had a fractured left wrist, multiple injuries to my left arm, and I had 3 ruptured discs in the back of my neck. So now here's the part, guys, that I'm not proud of. I'm not happy with, but it's the truth. So I have to say it. You take the good with the bad. But I sat there in that hospital bed. I hadn't been awake for 30 minutes, and it was all boo-hoo Pat. Not thank you, dear Lord, for letting me still be here. Thank you, God, for getting me through that and letting me survive. Thank you for being my co-pilot. Oh, no, it was, why did this happen to me? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I shoot him when I first got boo-hoo Pat. And I just was feeling so sorry for myself, and I look back now and wish I could kick myself. But that's how I was. I was feeling real sorry for myself, and then my sergeant came in the room and told me that, because I still, at this point, I didn't know what the 911 hang-up call was, if it was a domestic. What I told you is what happened. I knock on the door, the guy tackles me, and we go over the balcony. Here's what happened. The man that attacked me was the father. His son's girlfriend was in the residence. They had sucked the dog, the bulldog, on her, or the pit bull, not bulldog, the pit bull on her, because she had picked up the telephone to call 911 because she wanted to leave and the father wouldn't let her. And you can't keep somebody captive. That's kidnapping. Once you restrict somebody's movement, you've kidnapped them. You don't have to gag them and tie them up. You've kidnapped them. So she picks up the phone. Now this phone, when I say phone, I'm not talking about an iPhone. I'm talking about those big, does any of you remember those rotary dial phones? You know, you do the, now, Mr. New Mexico, you don't remember that shit, so don't be shaking your head yes, because you're too young to remember the dial tones. Or that little
my grandparents had one of those.
Oh, okay. Have you ever used one? You never used one? Well, they're a blast. But here's where it really got exciting as a kid. They came out with the touch tones, where you could go beep, 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 beep. They were big and heavy, but you didn't have to do the little rotary thing anymore. And I learned how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb on them damn things. You know, you'd hit like 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, you know. Anyway, that's the kind of phone they had. This thing was huge. They beat her in the head and the face with this phone. My sergeant said that you couldn't tell what race she was, what color hair she had, nothing. She was just red. Her hair, her face, her neck, her hands. She was in intensive care while I'm coming out of my first surgery in the hospital. She was still in intensive care when I left the hospital. 18-year-old little girl. Now, my arrival to that scene, it did stop the attack on the young lady, but, you know, they directed it on me. That's what that whole thing was. It was the 911 hang-up call was her trying to call 911 and him yanking the phone out of the wall and start beating her in the face with it and sick the dog on her. She had abrasions all up and down her legs from that pit bull. I mean, that pit bull had just bit into her legs, and she was wearing shorts. I've never seen her. I didn't see her that night. I'd never seen her. Not in my life have I seen her. I'm only going by the incident report and what my lieutenant told me, what the captain told me. They gave me the details. So here I am. I'm still feeling sorry for myself, acting like a little girl, really. I mean, nothing against little girls, but I was acting like a child. I mean, I'm ashamed of that. It wasn't until my doctor told me, and this is, I'm trying to remember the days, but when you're in the hospital, everything gets foggy. And I know I'm missing a lot of details when I was in the hospital because I just don't remember a lot. I was in and out. I'm under this pain medication going through. I know I had this pole on this side with 2 bags and another thing on this side that was going in this arm. But when they took that out the second or third day. But my doctor came in, and he's a spine specialist. And he's the one that did the first surgery on my neck because I had 3 ruptured discs. He said, look, I need you to move around a little bit. When I say move around, that doesn't mean hopscotch. That means just move your muscles. Take your IV pole and kind of there's a Coke machine down the hallway on the left. It's like not very far at all. To me, it was like miles because I could only like step 1 foot in front of the other, and then put the next step there and like this, like a little baby walking up the stairs. They do one leg at a time, not 2 feet. So I get the IV pole, and I'm still feeling sorry. I'm like, God, I don't want to do this. I just really want to just go home, but I knew I couldn't. So I eased down this hallway. Now, in a hospital, anybody that's been visiting in a hospital, they've got, and I don't know why they do this, but they always have the doors open unless the nurse is in there attending to them. The doors, these huge, big wooden doors are, swung open going inside the room, so you can always walk by and look and see who's in the room. I walked by the first one on my left-hand side, and I just looked over there, and look, guys, as a traffic unit, I've worked enough motorcycle accidents and seen enough people with broken necks to know this guy laying in that bed had a broken neck. He had the brace, but what gave it away is he had the band on his head. And this band has a little flip that you can take it and flip it down in front of your eyes, and they look up at a mirror. And that mirror has got a loop to it and projects the TV on the wall. So they can lay flat on their back like this and still watch TV because the mirror's reflecting it hanging on the wall over here. So I knew this he was in a motorcycle accident. I could tell by all the bandages on his arms and the broken neck. Okay. I go down a little bit further, and on the right side, there's a guy that's all bandaged up. His arms are fully bandaged. This arm's fully bandaged. His neck is fully bandaged. His waist is bandaged. Okay. Now, see, I'm playing cop here. I'm assessing as I'm walking. This guy's been involved in a fire. I can just tell. And that's just the stuff that's going through my mind is this guy's a burn victim. But I'm thinking, why is he not in the burn ward? We're not. I don't think we're in the burn ward because I didn't get burned. But anyway, he's been burned, and I can tell. So I go to the next, and I'm just walking to the Coke machine, and I look over on the left, and here's what got me, guys. There's this old woman laying in that bed, and she looked like she was just waiting to die. No life, no color, just laying there, just waiting for somebody to come in and pronounce her dead. And I thought, oh my God, these people are a hell of a lot worse off than I am. Hell, I'm walking. My name's not in the obituaries. I shouldn't be paid. And it wasn't until that moment, until I saw the pain of others, saw the shape that they were in, and related it to what I went through, not even a comparison. None. That's when I said, my whole attitude changed. I'm like, what are you doing, Pat? That's when I started saying, thank you, Lord, for getting me through that, for letting me survive. And I made a promise to him then that I would never again feel sorry for myself about what happened. No matter what I have to go through in the future with my neck and spine, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. And here's my attitude today. Because of what happened to me. The good Lord always knows what he's doing. It's as long as my name's not in the obituaries, guys, it don't matter if your car blows up, your house can burn down. It doesn't matter. As long as we're above ground and we're alive, what a beautiful day it is. I know that's easy to say, but I live by that. I could care less about material items. I will live in a tent and be happy. It's just keep your name out of the obituaries. If your name's not in the obituaries in the morning, fix yourself a cup of coffee and have a blessed day, So all that happened. Now, I can't be a cop anymore. After now we're going to advance about 14 months later, and I'm going into my 4th surgery on my neck and spine. And anybody that's been through surgery, I don't care how minor or how major, and these were major surgeries, it's not the surgery that gets you, it's the recuperating time that gets you. So here we are, I'm on that 4th surgery, by this time now, I've had to move in with my son, and we're talking about nasty trailers. My son had rented this nasty 40, 50-year-old single-wide trailer. It didn't even have a door on the bedroom that we were going to be in. I mean, it was just, walk down the hall and just keep walking, you go right into the bedroom. There was no door. So we put up a curtain, or I didn't, my son did. So after the 4th surgery, we moved in with him right before I went in for that surgery. And so when I came home from the hospital, I'm in this nasty-ass trailer. And to tell you how nasty it was, and I've got pictures of it, because this is where I started my marketing career. And you could flip on the switch in the bathroom and roaches would scatter. I know I bought 30, 40 of those roach hotels and all that, put it all in the bathroom. It didn't help. No matter what you did, the foggers, nothing helped. But it was just nasty. But my doctor told me after the 4th surgery that, look, Officer Patterson, you're not going to be able to return back.
He said, I'm going to...
He said...
Pat, I just want to let you know that we love you, and we know what you went through, and, recalling this...
No, I'm good.
It brings emotion. I know it was going to bring some kind of an emotion to relive this.
The hardest part, I think, is not being able to return back to law enforcement, because I loved it. I loved it so much. It's all I ever wanted to do. And I remember the day he told me that I couldn't be a cop anymore. That was like taking my whole life away from me, because I loved it so much. It was everything I ever wanted to do. It was the only thing I ever wanted to be was a cop. And I wasn't ready to give that up. I wanted to retire from law enforcement. I don't know why I'm being silly. I can't go through this without, I just remember him saying I can't be a cop anymore. And it was like what he said. I heard it, but it didn't register. It was like he echoed that. It's like, no, that's not true. So anyway, after a while I had to accept that I couldn't be a cop anymore. So I'm laying in this nasty room, and the doctor put me on 16-day restricted movement. I'm being silly here. I'm so sorry. But he put me on 16-day restricted movement, meaning that he wanted me to lay flat on my back and not move. He said after the first 3 surgeries, we may have moved you sooner than we should have. So this time there was very, very delicate surgery, because they put an artificial disc in the 3rd vertebra in my neck, and it's artificial, so you have to let it set. It's not part of my body. It's something they stuck in there. So you have to give it time to set in place and get moist, is what he said, whatever that means. But everything he's telling me, I'm not listening to. I just heard what he said in the very beginning, that I can't be a cop. So, because there is officers out here, guys. I know all the negative on the news and all that, but there's officers that love helping other people. They love what they do, and I was one of them. I agree 100%. There's probably 5% of them that are nothing but just God complexes with a badge. They don't care about people. They care more about the authority and they want to push people around. They're out there. Those cops are out there, and they shouldn't be a cop. They give all of us a bad name. But my department, we weren't like that. We called them deputy dogs. The ones that were like that, we have a name for them in law enforcement, and we would turn our backs on them. Now we'd help them if they needed help, if they were asking for backup. But any social event, anything we were doing, we turned our backs. We didn't want nothing to do with them. They want to be Billy Badasses with a gun and a badge. Do it on your own. We're not going to help you. So, but I loved it so much, and I'm laying there in bed, and anybody that's been in a trailer, you look up at the trailer ceiling and you see these, there's, I call them rivets. It looks like little flowers in the ceiling, keeping the ceiling up. And I'm counting those because I'm bored to death. I mean, and I'm a hyper person. And I know that's a surprise to most of you. Calm down, it's a surprise. But so I'm laying there and I'm counting these rivets, and I've counted them so many times, and I'm trying to draw lines with my mind from this rivet to that rivet and see what kind of pictures I can draw, just stupid stuff like that. But then I remember, I've got my laptop, and I remembered at this moment that my sergeant's wife, she had told me about 6-7 months prior to this that she was doing something online, filling out insurance forms. They would pay her $15 to take a form that she downloads and fill it out and put all the codes and all that in there for the medicine and all that stuff, whatever it was. And they would pay her $15 a form, and I'm sitting there thinking, I could do 20 of those a day. Because here was my thought. It took me a long time to come over to the realization that I can't be a cop anymore. But I'm thinking at this moment, the only alternative I have is to go be a security guard. I don't know how to do anything else. And I don't want to be a security guard. Guys, we made fun of rent-a-cops. We made fun of them. I mean, they got the little white shirt and a trooper hat and a whistle. Yay, team. And they're going to run around the mall and yell and scream at these little kids like they're all authoritative. I didn't want to do that. So that's one thing I knew. I did not want to be a security officer. Hence is my why. Everybody has their why. I just told you my why in the beginning. I was not going to put on a trooper hat and go guard a telephone pole in some parking lot somewhere for a security company. Wasn't going to do it. So I said, I can do this insurance thing. So I yelled for my son. He came down to the room and he put a pillow. Well, actually, first he put the laptop on my stomach, but I couldn't see it. I can't bend my head like this. So he put a pillow on my stomach, which raised the laptop up high enough where I could just look like with my eyes and still see the laptop. So I did this search on Bing, because that was the default search engine with this browser. And I put in, make money from home insurance forms. And it loaded them, and about the third or fourth or fifth one down, it said make money from home. And I clicked on it. And it took me to this page, and it wanted my email address. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, they're going to email me the information. Oh, this is working out great. So I put my email, and my email, at that time, it was just Night Cop 34. My nickname as a police officer was Night Cop because I hated working day shift. I'd only work nights, 6 at night to 6 in the morning. So everybody called me Night Cop, or most of the kids called me, Officer Cupcake, and that's another story. That's another Jerry Springer show. But my nickname as a cop was, Officer Cupcake or Night Cop. So I click on it, I put my email address in there, I click continue, and lo and behold, now hopefully by now you guys all know my mental state at this point. Not today. I'm just crazy as hell today, but back then I wasn't crazy. I'm down and out. I can't be a cop anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. And here's this video after I enter my email address with David Wood and David Sharp running around in superhero costumes looking for I want to say it was the Guru Syndicate that had kidnapped the blonde-haired guy, is all I remember about him. So here's this, it was like heaven sent, literally. I needed a superhero at that point. I needed that. I needed to feel safe. I needed to feel like everything was going to be okay. And here's this video. And I know that sounds like drama, what I just said, but at the state I was in, still recuperating, still laying flat on my back, I needed that superhero. It was like the perfect video at the perfect time, the perfect company. Everything was just, the good Lord knew what he was doing, okay? Let me just say that. And I saw this video. I didn't know what a blog was. I didn't know what Empower Network was. I didn't know any of that. I had to Google or Bing blog, because once I bought it, And I immediately joined. I watched this video, and it was like a 25 or 30-minute video. And then I got a little aggravated because then there was a part 4. I was watching part 3. I never saw part 1 or part 2. I didn't know there was parts. But at the end it said, stay tuned for part 4. I'm like, it's like watching, 24 with Jack Bauer, and they'd stop it right there at the end. I mean, it had me on a cliffhanger. So I went ahead and joined Empower Network. Didn't know what it was. I did Bing what a blog was, and found out it was, at that point, I thought it was like my own news, like I was going to be a reporter, and I'm going to, write all these news stories on this page that they had. I still didn't get it, but it didn't matter. Because of this, in my mind, I'd already turned off the security guard. There's no way. I got this now. And in this video, on the follow-up video, they were talking about $10,000 a month, which, first of all, I thought that was straight bullshit. Really. I really did. I thought to myself, you'd have been better off telling me $2,500 a month. I'd have believed that. $10,000 a month? Yeah, right. I'm not an idiot. But that's okay. I'm going to go for the $2,500. And to let you guys in on a realistic story, I was making $12,000 to $16,000 a month with Empower. So it's possible. I mean, it's very easy to do. You just have to apply yourself. But here I am. I see this $10,000 video after the superhero video, and I'm thinking, doesn't matter. All I need to make is $27,000 a year, because that's what I was making as a cop. $27,200 a year is what I made. If I can make that, I don't have to worry about being a security guard. So I'm only looking to make, I just want to, if I could get up to $1,500 a month, I'm good. And I can do it. In the very beginning, I never doubted myself. Because if I doubted myself, I had to open the door back up to the possibility of going to be a security guard. And I wasn't willing to do that. That was my why. I was not going to ever be a security guard. We made fun of them. I know what we did to them. I know what we called them, which wasn't right. Looking back now, I wish we hadn't said all the stuff we did, but we were just being idiots. So we said it. There's no taking it back. But I mean, these security guards, a lot of them are just trying to support their family. I didn't want to do that, though. I did not want to put on a little white shirt with a whistle. So I started Empower Network, and I didn't know I didn't know about marketing. I didn't know about any of that. Nothing. I knew how to check my email, and the only reason I even had an email address is because of my department. On our off days, if they sent out a BOLO, which means be on the lookout, they would email it to off-duty officers. So if there was a stolen vehicle, because we had take-home policy, my patrol unit I was the only one that drove it. I took it home. I took it to work. I'd go out to my patrol unit, go 10-8 right over the radio from my house. So they would send an email out if a BOLO came out that was of importance. So, or an Amber Alert or anything, they would email it to us. So I'd always check my email 2 or 3 times a day, but I didn't have to go on a web browser. It was on what do they call that, the Outlook. It was already up on the computer. I just had to hit, refresh to check my mail. That's all I knew how to do. That's literally, that is my education on the internet, is checking that email through the Outlook program. And the department set all that up. We had to bring in our little laptops in, and their tech set all that up for us. So for me to start that way and get to where I am today, or even where I was a year ago, is just, it's not a miracle. It's hard work. It's dedication. It's overcoming those obstacles. Because people look at me now, or they see me on stage, or they see me at the event, and they don't understand that, like, for example, Miss Patricia, she texts me, because she's on a different time zone, but she texted me last night about 4 o'clock in the morning my time, and I said LOL to her. And she was like, oh, I wasn't surprised you were up. People don't realize that I'm up late at night working. I'm doing what needs to be done. I'm doing the videos, and I'm doing the Craigslist, and I'm doing the Facebook, and I'm doing the solo ads, and I'm doing the Facebook ads, and that's all the stuff that you have to do to make this work. So many people, it's easier to make an excuse. Oh, that's a scam. That's not gonna work. Or oh, that's too much. Let me go with this easier thing. Never do the easy thing. Start with the hard thing and work your way down, not work your way up. So, but you have to be willing to do what it takes in this industry. And if you're not willing to do what it takes, don't waste your time. Quit right now. Get the hell away from it because it's not for you. As I say on my show, you have to want this more than you want to breathe. And when I say this, I'm not talking about Empower. I'm not talking about any one company. I'm talking about marketing you. You have to market yourself, not any company. Doesn't matter what company you're with. You market yourself. And you have to be willing to do whatever that takes. And if that takes, you got 2 hours tonight and you got to go to bed and get up to work the next morning, then do it. Because a lot of people will say, I don't have the time. That's BS. That's an excuse. Tell yourself that in the mirror every morning and believe it, because it's not true. And let me break that down if I got a few more minutes. There's 24 hours in a day, guys. If you work an 8-hour-a-day job, you're working full-time every day. Now, that's 8 hours. The average person sleeps anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a night. So let's just say 7. So now we're up to 15 hours a day. But you want family time. So let's just put aside 2 hours every single day for that family time. And trust me, your kids, your wife, or your husband's going to get really sick of that 2 hours every day of family time after about 2 weeks. Okay, that's enough family time, Dad. But let's just say you take it 2 hours a day. That's 17 hours. That means you have 7 hours a day to work your business. Now let's say you commute an hour back and forth to work. Okay, that's still 6 hours a day. You can work your business. So everybody has the time because we all have 24 hours in a day. Just don't believe your own lies. Do not believe your own excuses because that's what they are. Look in the mirror and tell yourself you're going to make this work no matter what. But the main thing, what got me through it, was my why. Every day, I'm not going to quit because there were so many times I'd shake my computer. I literally wanted to throw this damn computer out of a window. Literally, I got so frustrated. What stopped me was I'm not going to go be a security guard. And your why can't be, don't make your why about, oh, I want to take care of my family. That's not a good enough why. You can do that from corporate America. That's an easy way out. Yeah, I'm going to take care of my family. So 2 weeks later into your business, you're going to say, oh, I can take care of my family from just keep my job. I can do that. No, what's your real why? Is to give your family time freedom, to give you time freedom so you can spend more time with your family. It's taking your family on more vacations. It's taking your family on a cruise. It's going to seeing your mom and your dad who's 70 years old whenever you want to. That can be your why. But don't make your why about, oh, I need to support my family. Because I've had so many people want to quit after it gets tough, because this is going to get tough on you. I'm telling you, it's not easy. But their why, to take care of their family, I'll just stay with my job and I can do that. So don't make your why about taking care of your family. Make it about other things with your family. But I'm living proof if some dumbass ex-cop can do this out of Georgia and make it work, you have hope. Because anybody can do this. I mean, you just got to be dedicated. And you know, I'm pretty hard-headed. When I get something in my head, I'm going to go for it. And that's the only thing that separates me, Patricia, most of the people. I don't know any of these people on this panel, but like Candy Davis and Dave Sisler and Dave Rainica, all the people that I know. What separates us from everybody else that's not successful is dedication. We're willing to do whatever it takes, and we work our business on a daily basis. We actually go to work every day, and we work. We don't make excuses. And that was even in the beginning. So don't buy into your own lies and do whatever it takes. And do not expect quick results. It took me 10 months working 10 to 12, 14-hour days every day. 10 months. Before I had my first $5,000 month. I started October 17th of 2013, and in August, I had my first $5,000 month. My first 3 months, I'd only made $156 in this industry. $156, that's it. Total. So, don't expect quick results and then make that as an excuse. Oh, this ain't working. I've been doing this for 3 months. Oh, it ain't going to work. No, you keep going. Because when you're ready to quit, that means success is just a couple blocks away. It's just right around the corner from you. So never give up. If you make the decision to go forward and you make the decision to be with Empower Network, then you don't quit, period. So, and market you, not Empower. Always market yourself. So, because it's all about you. It's people want to join you, not a company. So, anyway, I'll ramble all night, so I'll shut up and turn it back over to you, Patricia.
Well, I just want to say, mindset, you had the reason to just, cry right now, and love it when you cry because your emotions come out, and we can see that what you went through was very traumatic, but then you had that mindset and the determination to move forward, and you didn't want to quit. And that's what a lot of people do. They stub their toe and, they don't want to continue in business, or they're not making enough money, and then they want to quit. They have to really see and focus on what their why is. Deep down, dig deep into the heart of their why, and really see what it is and how they can accomplish this, the success that you've had, or any one of us are having. And then having a team too. We don't want to do this all of ourselves. I said, by the way, Pat, you may not know this about me, but a friend of mine where I live has a trailer mobile home park. They just sold it, but I have a brand new trailer, I forget, it's a single wide that, so there's no roaches in it, and it doesn't have those little things on the roof. We do have a tenant in there who is our best tenant. He pays every month. It's in our bank account, and everything. But yeah, so we don't happen to live in a trailer, but yeah, there can be those luxury homes, luxury model homes. I actually saw a video where they have it just folds out and opens up, and it looks like a brand new home. But let's say you don't have a place to live. Let's say you, like the owner of Ian, was living in a trailer. What was he living in? A van. Right, he was starting from really nothing, dirt poor. Did he have to do that? No, he had, family. He probably could have gone to live with his mother and father, parents, brothers, sisters. They're still alive, and he could. I think he has 10 or 11. He could probably go live with one of them. But there's a point when you have to have your self-esteem, and you want to make things work, and you want to do things on your own. Especially men. I admire men who want to provide for their families and don't want to boo-hoo about their situation. They take it and they make it work. And that's what you've done. You've been through a traumatic situation. And like I said, I was telling you earlier today that on the phone that I have friends who were cops, and they love their job. They're retired now, but that's why they got into it, because they had the passion for working for people. And yes, the rogue cops out there, or whatever, what did you call them? What kind of dogs? Or
well, we call them deputy dogs.
Yeah, deputy dogs.
Because they got a God complex. They think because they got a badge and a gun, they can treat everybody like shit and lock them up if they don't agree with it. I mean, it's awful for the profession.
Most police officers want to serve. And that's what you did, and that's I think the emotion came through that you didn't want to give that up. But when you do have a circumstance like you did have, you found a way to make it work and move on to do something else. And now you're open up to this worldwide community. So if anybody, any one of us needed each other, we're always here for one another. And that's what I like about this online internet community and the company we're in, but it doesn't even have to be the company. We've known each other. I would have never have met Neil from the UK or Ian from the UK if it wasn't for this company, if it wasn't for internet marketing or the internet. I would never have met Andre, who lives in Florida, and Aaron, who lives in New Mexico, or you, Pat. None of us would have met. But because we're all a big family, we love each other no matter what company we're in, we're always going to be friends. So we really enjoyed your experience. But there's one other question I want to ask you. I can't let you go. I know we're we're after the top of the hour. It's 4:11. But I have to ask you this. Now, cupcake. One word, cupcake. Let me explain that real fast, and then we'll get on.
I do. Here, as I've said, I love being a cop, and I always look for ways to improve. And you know, you would get to a domestic call and move away from it, and after the call, and we kind of critique ourselves. How could I have done that better? How could I? I'm always doing that. But every weekend, Fridays and Saturdays, we had so many domestic calls. And the domestic call is, for those of you who doesn't know, is, you know, the husband and the wife, they're arguing and screaming, and, you know, sometimes there's physical, you know, violence. But there's always children involved. Most of the time there was the little 3-year-old, the 7-year-old, the 9-year-old, and they're crying and they're screaming because we've got daddy in cuffs and we're taking him to the patrol unit. Now we're the bad guy. In this little kid's mind, we just took away their father or their mother, whoever the primary aggressor was at that domestic. So we're locking their father up. And I always hated that the kids would get that impression of a police officer. So I come up with this great idea that after a while everybody followed me. So everybody should have been named Cupcake. So I got this idea. On Fridays and Saturday nights, I would leave my house at 5 o'clock, go by the bakery. And the lady at the bakery knew after a while what I wanted, but I started off with 1 dozen cupcakes. And I wanted the glitter, and I wanted the sprinkles, and I want it to be for kids. I wanted 12 really cool cupcakes. And I'd get them on Friday night and Saturday night before I went 10-8. And 10-8's in service. So when we'd go to a domestic call, and this little baby girl, 6, 7 years old, is standing there crying her eyes out because you don't know what she's heard before we even got to the scene. You know, mama calling daddy this and daddy calling mama that, and maybe daddy slapping mama, and you know, it's a traumatic experience. But you would be amazed when you hand that little baby a cupcake, she don't give a shit what happens to daddy. Go ahead, take it. No, they didn't say that, but they just got this beautiful smile on their face, and just and when I experienced that, it was like I just couldn't get enough of it. It was like a drug, you know, making these kids smile while we're arresting their parents. So then all the other officers, they started carrying cupcakes around with them on Fridays and Saturday nights. But I always had the cupcakes on the weekends. So I didn't care if they were 14, 15, if they were 7, 9, 10, it didn't matter. I just give, in a domestic dispute, a domestic call, I'd give out cupcakes. And there was a couple times we'd have a fire, like their car was on fire in front of their house, or the shed in the backyard caught on fire, and the kids all scared. Give them a cupcake. They're not scared, and guess what? Their impression of a police officer 10 years from now, they'll always remember, not that we took daddy to jail, but this cop gave me a cupcake. And hence I got the nickname Officer Cupcake. So now everybody on my panel with Wisdom Wednesday calls me Pat Cupcake Patterson. So, but that's the Cupcake nickname doesn't bother me at all. It's a real honor to me because that nickname gave so many children just pure joy and pure happiness. So they can call me Cupcake anytime they want.
So therefore, that shows your heart. That shows your heart. A true gentleman, okay? Helping other people. And if there was anybody on the panel that wanted to say that we're running over time, it is 4:15. It's late for Pat. It's still light out, I see, back of the windows there. But
no, I'm good. I'm good. My internet's down at the house, so I don't have anything to do.
But other than that, we'll close it up. But who wants to ask a question?
Well, a lot of us are going to give thanks, and I'm going to just say firsthand, appreciate your coming on, Pat. A little bit more in-depth version of your story that I've heard on stage and on previous conference calls. I loved it. I loved it. I mean, you covered everything from, you know, from your purpose to, you know, like as far as whatever type of marketing strategy. You just said it. Do whatever it takes. Make it happen. You know, and then, you know, you pretty much showed it, too. And I love seeing the passion, too, because, you know, you found something just, you know, that make you cry, too. And it was like, no, I'm not going back to that. You know, that was a real strong why. Like, I mean, notice, too, what he was sharing, too. And he mentioned it's not just so much, and he broke it down, not just so much about family, not even so much about money. You know, it's just something that's a real strong thing as far as, like, I'm not either going to do that or I'm going to make that happen. Either or. I loved it. Appreciate it. You covered, like I said, you covered everything from personal development to marketing and everything. Storytelling. It's like, you know, what more? Really loved it. And again, too, guys, Results not typical, so see average earnings below. But one thing is, they are possible, like he mentioned.
But you know why we have to say that? Here's the thing that irritates me, Andrew, is we have to say our results are not typical. The reason we have to say that is because people don't go to work. If everybody would go to work, I would be on here saying, okay, yeah, I make 12 to 16,000 a month, but my results are under average. You know, everybody else is doing much better than me, so it's just under average. But we got to say our results are not typical. See the income disclaimer with empowernetwork.com/income, because people don't go to work. So that makes my results not typical if you just go to work. And one other thing that I forgot to mention, I want to say this. If you haven't listened to anything else I say about marketing strategies or how you do something, listen to this. Never, ever, ever make your goals about money. Ever. When you do that, you've lost. When you make it about money, you're making it about yourself. You cannot make your business all about you. It's not about you. It's about helping everybody that's willing to help themselves in this industry, but not helping yourself. Zig Ziglar said it best. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And I'm a perfect example of that. So here's what you do. You have to have a goal. For the first 3 months, I made my goal about money. I wanted to make $500 a month. That's all I wanted. Just $500 a month. The first month, I started October 17th of 2013. November, didn't make it. It was like somebody kicked me in the chest again. God, I didn't make my goal. Okay, December, I want $500 a month. I didn't make it. It's like, golly, this is not working for me. January, $500 a month. Didn't make it. And all of you can, I'm sure many of you on this call can relate to what I'm saying. It's like you just got beat up. You just, oh my God, I'm doing everything I can do. They said do what it takes. I'm doing it, and I'm not getting no results. Here's what you do. The moment I stopped making my results or my goals about money, and I started making it about opt-ins. Opt-ins is where somebody goes to your capture page. You've done what you're supposed to do, and you've driven that traffic to your capture page. They've entered their email address in there, and now they're added to your autoresponder list. You want 5 opt-ins a day for 14 days straight. That doesn't mean on day 12 you get 3 or 4, and then you move on and advance. If you get 3 or 4 on day 12, you start back to day 1. You want 5 opt-ins, and you have to do whatever it takes to get them. Whether it's YouTube marketing, and I love YouTube because it's the second largest search engine in the world. But I do a lot of stuff on YouTube, Craigslist, Facebook ads, Bing ads, YouTube PPC, whatever it takes. You get 5 opt-ins a day, 15 days straight. I remember in January, actually, my goal. I didn't make any money, but it was like I had won the lottery. When I got 5 opt-ins a day for 14 days straight, I was like, yes, I did it. But I hadn't made a damn dime. I made $156 in 3 months. Most of that went back into Empower Network. So, but the mental that it does for you, because you just reached a goal, not a money goal. 5 opt-ins a day for 14 days straight. When you hit it, now you want 10 opt-ins a day for 14 days straight. When you hit those, and we're not playing golf here, you don't get a mulligan. If you're hitting for 9 and you only get 8, you got to start back from day 1. Now I want 10 opt-ins a day for 14 days straight. Hitting those goals mentally and emotionally does so much for your drive, for your passion. You're not seeing any money results, but that's the important thing, and it kept me driving forward until August of that year, and I'd made $5,000. And then at that point, I was only at 35 off days straight, and I made about $5,600 for the month of August. And it went up from there, from September, and then October, and then November, and then, now I'm getting like 106 to 115, 120 opt-ins a day. But I started off in January of 2014, 5 opt-ins a day for 14 days straight. So a lot of you will ask, okay, when I go from 5 to 10, how do I get from 5 to 10? My answer is this. It's your business, whatever it takes, whatever you have to do. So I mean, if you got to give the kids some Tylenol PM to get them out of your hair for a couple hours, it works. No, I'm kidding. But so I'll shut up now. He brought up the goals, and it's so important not to make your goals about money. If you make them about money, all you're saying is it's all about me, 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 me. And this industry is about helping everybody else except you. You help everybody else like I've done, it automatically helps me. I don't know. The karma just comes back at you 10 times the amount of the time that you help other people. And I'm living proof of that. Patricia is living proof of that. So make your business about helping as many people as you can. You're already successful. So
that's true, definitely true. Sorry, we had to unmute ourselves. And your beautiful wife, I know it's the evening, it's Friday, you have that time freedom. You need to go on a date with her, Pat.
Well, actually, she's at work.
Oh.
You know, she doesn't even have to work. This is the great thing. My wife's from the Philippines, and she doesn't have to work. All of her money we send back to her family at the Philippines. But she's like she told me, what am I going to do, sit around here and watch you work? She's bored. So she works up at this little place up the road, and she loves it, and she's got friends, and and it gives me the opportunity to be alone at the house and do what I need to do. So yeah, but she won't get home till about 10:30 tonight, so I'm good. But I appreciate you thinking about that.
Yeah.
Is that now, Mr. New Mexico? Was that her way? Because you know Patricia better than I do. Was that Patricia's way of telling me to just shut the hell up? Is that what that was?
You'll have to take that one up with Patricia. But yeah, I just wanted to say something that you just said reminded me of something pretty profound that I heard at the very first event that I went to, and this was in Las Vegas in January of 2015, and it was Tracy Walker, and she was talking about the 21-day blogging challenge. She's like, okay, what do you do if you get to day number 20 or 19 of the 21-day blogging challenge, and you decide to, let it slide and catch up, right? She's like, she didn't say what I thought she was going to say, because most people are like, oh, I'll just catch up and do 2 of them the next day or whatever. She's like, you start the 21-day blogging challenge all over again, and that what you just said reminded me of that. So, and those words have stuck with me ever since. When she said that, that's when I took things seriously, and that's when I went and did it. So.
Now, the guy with the hat on, man, you're going to have to breathe. You're starting to really scare me here. I haven't watched Rescue 911 in years, so come on, breathe for me. The guy with the hat on there from the UK.
It's Ian.
Okay, he's moving. Okay, everybody can calm down. He's all right now. He's okay. He's good.
He might be falling asleep because it's almost 12. It's past 12. Ian, what do you
have to say? I have learned all the words to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, so if that will help you fall asleep, if I sing that to you, I'll do it. It's up to you.
Ian, got work to be done. You got to do whatever it takes, right? We got to stay up and make things happen. Have you always been so good at telling stories, or is it something that you've learned to kind of like mock it?
No.
In that way, that's kind of, yeah.
Here's the thing. I got really good at telling stories because they trained me how to do it. In law enforcement, to keep your arrest powers, you have to put in 20 hours a year to keep your arrest powers. So I took a course that was 2 weeks long. Not 2 weeks. It was 5 days 1 week, 5 days the next. And it's courtroom drama, verbal judo, and they would train us how to testify in open court. And the whole goal to testifying is don't answer the attorney's questions. You're talking to the juries. You're not talking to the attorney or the judge. I'm always focused and looking at the jury. My goal was always, and the way they trained us to do it, is to bring them to the scene that I'm talking about. So if I'm walking through a yard and I'm telling them, look, I got to the scene, I had to step over a bush, and there was this little orange Tonka truck that was in the bush, and it was rusted, and I almost tripped on that. What I'm doing is I'm bringing them, like they're reading a book, to the scene with me. so they can live what I'm talking about as I'm telling it, just like they're sitting at home reading a book. You know, when you start reading a book, you're so involved in that book that you're at the scene wherever that book's taking you. That's the joy of reading a book. And that was my goal with the jury. And they trained us how to do that in verbal judo. So anyway, not just verbal judo though, but courtroom testimony, all that. There was several classes that I went through. So, but no, I was never really good at telling stories until law enforcement. Then I realized it's all about the details. That's why Tandy Davis, you know, she is like the president of my fan club, but she can't stand when I start telling stories because I'm so detailed about them, because I'm not trained that way. I can't do it. I can't just tell a short version of a story. I got to go into detail. So anyway, see, you asked me a simple question. I spent, an hour answering it. So there you go. Perfect example.
And Neil, do you have anything to ask our beautiful guest?
No, not really. I just wanted to say thank you again. I mean, I actually had the pleasure of meeting him at our company event when Patricia introduced me, and I got to briefly meet you. So it was nice to hear your story again, and obviously a bit more in depth. And like I say, just really, it really is inspiring. Just goes to show, when you put your mind to something, and when you're not prepared to take no for an answer, it's just amazing what you can actually do. And like he says, like Pat says, it's one of those where if you say I'm gonna find a way, you're gonna find a way. And if you've got this thing in the back of your mind saying, yeah, but I can't do this, or yeah, but I still need to do this, or if your focus is not 100% on goal, it's not going to work. You need to focus 100% on what you're doing. And when, like what Pat's saying about, you have to focus on building the leads, and you have to focus on providing the value. So you have to stop making it about other people. And so many people have this thing in their head where when they try a specific traffic source, whether it be solo ads, Craigslist, YouTube, doesn't really matter. People try a specific traffic source, and the moment it doesn't work, they automatically blame the traffic source. And I have no doubt that there are some useless traffic sources, but every single traffic source in its own way will work when you do it the right way. Facebook can be absolutely amazing, but so can PPC. There are still, if you type into Google, there are still people that are paying good money for Google Ads, and they won't be doing that if they're not actually making a profit from it. So the fact it's not about the fact that the traffic source is no good. It's just you need to provide the value to the people, because you can't expect to just go up to someone and ask them to give you money. It's all about the value. So the moment, like what passes, the moment you make it about them and how you can serve them and answer their problems and help them get to where they want to go, you'll get to where you want to go. So just start focusing towards that. That was one of the I love the way Pat put that together, because that to me is ultimately what this is all about. Take yourself out of the equation, focus on helping other people, and you'll get to where you want to go. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, I love the way you put that together, Pat. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Pat, I just want to thank you so much for being with us, overcoming the odds, and certainly determined success is yours for the future for all of us. That's what we want. Not what we want again, but we're here to serve, value, and help other people. And as you said, if we help enough people and we do that and we show them what to do and how to do it successfully, then, and of course they got to get off their heinies and work. And we just really appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, absolutely. And I really appreciate Andre. Andre, I really appreciate your kind words. I mean, that was awesome, because I do remember meeting you in person, and it was just a blast meeting you. I remember, I don't remember the gentleman's name that you were with, but we had a good laugh, but thank you so much tonight for your kind words. Really.
I appreciate it. And again,
I'm really aggravated about what's his name? Neil. I'm really aggravated. Damn, Andre, he's a hell of a lot better looking than me. Jesus Christ, man, what's going on with that? He's got this little beard thing going on, and I'm jealous as hell now. I thought I was pretty until I saw him.
Oh.
Hell.
Well, Pat, like I said, we really, really appreciated you being here. And for our audience, everybody, we have a green little button there, and it says, yes, let me in. And we also have a little giveaway for you. If you click the little blue button that says download, that's a free ebook for you to take your mind set for to a positive mindset. As you see the struggles that our guest has had, he still cries over what happened, but he changed his circumstances. And again, he moved forward with what could have, should have been a tragic story. He turned it into a success. And we know that you could do the same thing.
And let me apologize. I try not to get emotional. And I'm so sorry I did. I try to stay focused on what I'm saying instead of the way I felt. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes my mind goes off and I'm reliving what I'm talking about. So I do apologize for that. I did not mean to get emotional. I'm not a drama person, so I really apologize for that.
No, that shows you as a real human being. You know, Jesus cried as well. So not to say that you're Jesus.
Yeah, but can I be at least Batman or something? I want to be Batman, you know.
I know how Batman. But you have really beautiful qualities, and that's what shines. All right? And that's part of branding ourselves to people that we want to attract to us. So, you know, we loved it. Thank you again. Andre, we'll let you close out.
Yeah, once again, appreciate you coming on here, Pat. And if you got bad from what he shared, comment below. Comment below how much you loved it, too. I know we were all drawn into what he was showing. I'm so glad that he shared a little bit more in depth to his story. I loved it too. I know everybody else on the panel did as well. So again, look forward to seeing you on the inside. And with that being said, we'll see you guys same time, same place next week.
Take care, guys. Thanks again, Pat.
Yes, sir.